What crazy ass story do you need to tell? Years ago I was hitchhiking north of Richmond, Virginia when a car with two dudes picked me up. We got to chatting, and it turns out they were headed to their friend's place to shoot guns and asked me if I wanted to join. I asked if his friend would be okay with a random homeless-esque fellow shooting his guns, and he said hell, just pretend to be my cousin from Seattle. So instead of sitting on the highway in 100-degree weather, I spent an afternoon eating hamburgers, shooting guns, and blowing shit up with bags of tannerite on some random duty employee's woodland property. Don't remember your name, dude, but you were the man. Thanks for a great memory. When I was learning to fly at a sketchy flight school, I was doing a pre-flight check flight, close to the end of the program. I was doing the run-up in a Cessna when I smelled something. Do you smell that? Smells like gas, I say. Instructor, 21Y/O, shrugs. Annoyed, I open the door, and there is a spreading puddle of avgas under the plane. Shit. The instructor panics, stay in the plane, I'll get help, and runs off. As soon as I got the engine off, I noped out of there and watched the plane dump all its fuel on the runway. They kindly gave me another plane and instructor. They fixed their plane, and a month later, I read about the same plane crashing due to fuel issues. One fatality, no significant repercussions for company. A little while back, my roommate was contacted by a wealthy man in the area who wanted to pay her to be his live-in pet for an entire month. She thought that this was a cutesy way of saying that it was a sugar daddy/baby arrangement. Turns out what he actually meant was that she would be given room, board and a very healthy allowance to spend a large portion of her day dressed as a cat, walking on her hands and knees, eating out of a bowl, using a litter box, and, yes, sleeping in a little cage at night. Sex wasn't even on the table. He was only interested in having a human cat for a month. She seriously considered the offer for a weekend, and then politely declined. My dad went to secondary school with John Lennon, and was a couple years older than him. Dad was known for playing the drums and being quite musical, and one day John asks him whether he'd like to be the drummer in a band he's forming. Dad was keen, but my granny said he needed to prioritize studying, and so he didn't join. The band formed and were called the Quarrymen, and I think a guy called Colin was the drummer instead of Dad, who I believe was later replaced by Pete Best and then Ringo as they changed to the Silver Beatles and then the Beatles. I like to imagine that in an alternative universe my dad said yes, and that was history. I don't even mind that I wouldn't have been born if this had been the outcome. He really deserved to have had that lifetime. Nothing super amazing, but I, 26, am adopted. I have nothing to do with my biological family save for a half brother, who I reconnected with last year. We are friends on Facebook. About a year and a half ago I spent 6 months as a pizza delivery driver. While there I met a man, probably in his 50s or so. We got along. He was a driver, just for something to do, since he's retired now. I quit the job 6 months in, but a couple months ago I came back, and the guy is still there. A week ago my brother tags me on Facebook, as well as my coworker. A few days later I ask my coworker how he knows my brother. After a misunderstanding, my brother has the same name as his father, so when I asked, he thought I was talking about my brother's father. We found out that the coworker is actually my uncle by marriage, or was. He was married to my bio mom's sister for some 20 years, until their divorce a couple years ago. The guy used to babysit me when I was a baby, and has pictures of my brother and bio mom that he gave me. He's currently looking for baby pictures of me, because I don't have any from before I was adopted. My mom and dad would be super happy if he can find them. When I was like 8 I was running to catch up with my parents as we were walking down our street. I came to an intersection right as a car pulled up. At the exact moment he stopped, I fucked up and tripped. Rather than eat shit, though, I somehow managed to do a perfect front roll and keep running in one smooth motion. From his perspective, this dumbass kid ran in front of his car, did some fucking weird ninja shit, and kept running without looking back. It's the only even remotely cool thing I've ever done in my life, and he was the only witness. I used to go to a Korean middle school, so physical punishment for any bad behavior was expected. One day a few kids were talking in class, so our ass of math teacher decided that we somehow all deserved to get punished. He told us to kneel on our desks and started hitting us on the thigh one by one. We all complained, but figured we'd just get it done with and get back to class. But one of my classmates completely snapped. He pulled out a knife from his pocket, eyed why he had one, and put it towards the teacher's throat and threatened to kill him. At that moment I was genuinely afraid I was about to witness a murder and was scared. But for some reason every single one of my classmates was laughing at this situation. I still don't understand why, but thankfully there was no murder. The kid just ran off to the front office BC he realized he fucked up and came back begging for forgiveness. Somehow he never really ended up getting punished. The cops weren't called, no trial, no suspension, nothing. He did get forced to transfer to a new school, but he didn't get hit with a single thing that would stay on his record. Don't know how interesting it is, but a few years ago I'd go to college in the morning and leave at like midnight because I didn't have a PC and needed to work on homework at school. One time on the last train ride home, I had to catch 2 trains and 2 buses each way to get there and back. We were coming into the last station where I'd get off. There was this Asian guy acting a bit strange the whole ride. He gets up and stands in the middle of the car, and as a train brakes coming into the station he falls flat on his face from a full standing position, lays there until the train stops, stands up, dusts himself off, and walks out of the open doors like nothing happened. I saw this guy doing it like 5 other separate times, and since I was used to it at that point I enjoyed looking out for the rider's reactions. Plenty more slightly weird stuff happened on my late night subway rides home. I really enjoyed the entertainment. I stole my own car back once. I used to restore classic cars. I had the most valuable one I've ever had at a body shop, and he took forever to finish it. He had painted other cars for me, but apparently developed a drug problem. I would check on the car every week to see if there was any progress. Finally, after a year he told me he painted 90% of it, but he's asking for more money than we originally agreed. I drive there on a Friday afternoon unannounced and see my car outside the shop, worth a ton of money, with the shop owner nowhere in sight. His neighbor told me he had left the car outside for 3 days and several people have tried to steal it. So I call a tow truck and tow it to my garage right away. On my home the shop owner calls me over and over again. He thought somebody stole the car. He kept calling me for months. I never responded. I work in a prison as a nurse. Frequently, our inmates insert beads, usually carved from dominoes, under the skin of their penis/shaft. It's called beading, and it happens a lot. Pretty much every unit has a dick doctor, another inmate, who is particularly skilled in flaying open dicks and sticking beads inside of them. Or, some inmates say fuck it and try to do it themselves. We had an inmate who cut himself shaving, who had to come up to the medical department because his genitalia was bleeding. Obviously everyone's first thought is the dude was either trying to put in a bead or take one out and failed. So dude gets up to us and he's holding a towel down his pants against his crotch and everything is soaked in blood. Underwear, towel, pants, you got it. Drenched. So I take him into an exam room and get his clothes off, and the dude goes, "It's mostly okay, I stitched it back up myself with my sewing kit." What? Yeah. He stitched his own cock up with a fucking sewing kit from commissary. Not only that, but he tied a string around his shaft as a makeshift tourniquet. I go, "Oh, hey, you might want to take that string off of your dick before it loses circulation and falls off." Anyway, we get the tourniquet off, and I take out his shitty stitches, and he starts spurting blood from his dick like an active volcano. I've never seen so much blood come from a human being before. We had to burn his cock shut with silver nitrate. It was awesome. I love dick bead stories. When I was 22 I had an internship for the Buffalo Wild Wings marketing department. I was also running a lot at this time. Every time I would go and leave for a run I would text my GF that I'm leaving for a run just so someone knows where I am. I get a text from her mid-run asking for a special picture when I get back. I agree. Then I get a text from my female boss making sure I sent out some paperwork, which I did. I get home and I don't even want to take this stupid fucking picture. I just want to shower. But I get butt ass naked and take a bathroom mirror selfie from head to kneecap and send it with a kiss face emoji. An hour later I get a text from my GF that says, "Did you forget my special picture?" And I'm thinking, no WTF, I sent that. So I go into my texts and oh no, oh fuck me into oblivion. No, I sent the nude to my boss. My heart sank straight into hell. I immediately try to do damage control and say it was not meant for her and that I'm so sorry. I even screenshotted the convo from my GF to show it was a mistake. No response. Went into the office the next day and was called into hours where I was fired. Shit fucking sucked. I had a great gig going. Makes for a great story though.